Okay, hello, welcome back to another game of chess. Now we're playing e4 as per flipping usual. No, I'm not currently wearing lipstick. It is in fact lip balm. You know, you don't want to get them chapped lips in the wintertime. We're playing against a Sicilian here. We're going to go for the a3 Sicilian, the Mengarini Sicilian here. Looking to probably go for b4 ideas if we see a knight c6 or maybe an e6. If, on the other hand, we see a d6 or a g6, we're probably going to try and play for some kind of bishop c4 Grand Prix style attack with f4. I've been trying to flesh out my repertoire against this recently, making this a kind of little bit more deep weapon that I've got here against the Sicilian, rather than just desperately hoping to see knight c6 to go into these interesting b4 lines that have been featured on the channel in the past, and actually say, you know what, if d6, let's go bishop c4. Let's get this bishop and let's maybe try and make use of this little Mengarini alcove here that we've got on a2. And possibly this bishop ends up tucking right back into there. It's going to be kind of hard to chase this away and trap it at the very least, because we've already kind of prophylactically got a3 played. Maybe it makes a little bit of sense. Maybe we can go knight to c3. I also have d4, by the way. They haven't played like a knight f6 or, you know, what I'd maybe immediately expect. g6 straight away, I mean, I'm sure it's decent, but d4 is an opportunity that I have here. I think I'm going to stick with knight c3 though, and honestly d3 and play for this kind of f4, maybe knight f3, kingside castles type setup here, and look to eventually play for f5 and break on here. I've been trying to cook up a sort of game plan massively with the help of Alien Gambit Time. Shout out to you, mate. Comment if you're watching this video and I'll possibly pin it if it's amusing enough. But you know, I had a suggestion from someone watching one of my videos that was like, dude, you gotta go for this kind of setup. So we're trying it out today. It's not something that I'm wildly used to. It's something that I think will deepen my attacking repertoire though if I practice it. So we're gonna go for d3. I do believe I'm gonna go for f4, and I mean, this bishop is an absolute beast. We're staring at f7. If you castle kingside, which is very likely, I mean, you've played a Sicilian, the c-pawn's pushed. Castling this way, we'd walk straight in. We'd go straight in with b4 here. What the hell? I was just about to say, like, the only way you can really fight against this bishop is playing e6 and maybe d5. Bishop e6. How can this make any sense? I am definitely taking this. The only hesitation there was just to express my complete and utter confusion at why my opponent's gone for this. You now have to take with your f-pawn, and you double the pawns on the e-file. You very much soften up the pawn structure around the kingside where you are likely to be castling, and I'm thinking, you know, surely this doesn't make much sense. Okay, well, they propose a take back. We'll give them the take back. I mean, nonsensical stuff here from my opponent. Obviously f6 was a misclick there, but even still, like, f6 is basically as nonsensical as bishop e6. That's clearly a massive exaggeration there. Sorry, I got momentarily distracted because they've hit me with their gratitude. That is the wrong button. They've hit me with their gratitude here with the thanks, bro. And of course hit him with a no worries, mate, and send that off right there. And I think now we're looking to hopefully exploit some damaged pawn structure. I mean, the question is going for f4 and knight f3 still a good idea? Because this f4 idea seems to make a lot of sense when we're trying to break with f5, which, now that they've gone for this, are we ever doing that? I don't know. But also f4, I could just be starting some kind of h3, g4, whatever, like big break on f5 eventually. I like the flexibility that I'm provided with in playing f4, you know, developing the knight under the pawn rather than in front of the pawn. In general, seems like quite a pleasant thing to do. You can, of course, nab this if you want to damage some of my pawn structure, but then you give me that unrivaled dark square bishop. I might play c4, bishop b2, and just patrol this diagonal. I'm assuming that's not going to be a good idea, although maybe bishop d2 defensively to say, you know what, I don't really want to give you that opportunity, could be a good resource. But knight f3 here, we could see knight to d4. I'm not wildly convinced by it. I'd probably take bishop takes, and then maybe just knight to e2. Actually, we could transfer over here, get rid of the bishop, and start asking some questions. Right, knight h6. I just disagree with the way my opponent's playing this. Also, hold on, I can go for this pretty much immediately. Now, I do concede this, and you can actually go straight in there and defend it like that. You can also go queen d7. I don't know if this is actually a very good idea, possibly not. But what I am immediately thinking is h3, because where do you think this knight's going? I clearly hold the f5 square. I clearly now hold g4. I might be playing g4 in the near future, and I just don't see, like, you've damaged this kingside. I have knight g5 at some point threatening the fork here, of course. Maybe I go for that now, but honestly, I'd prefer to kind of develop maybe queen d2, castle queenside, and then launch forward with g4. That looks pretty exciting, actually. I think I'm going to go for this. Bishop e3. This is at least a productive move. We develop the bishop, maybe bring it back to this diagonal at some point if necessary, but I highly doubt we'll be facing any problems there, of course. Okay, rook to c8. Yeah, I mean, this makes sense. I think I'm just going to go for queen d2, though. I mean, maybe even f5 with the threat of just taking this knight is going to be a serious problem. It's a very sneaky idea. Knight h6. There's 2 moves to me so far out of the 10 that my opponent has played that don't really make any sense. This bishop e6, which I guess fights against the bishop, but also you just damage your pawn structure here. And the knight h6, I don't really see the vision in terms of the long term. You're like, where are you going with that knight? And if you were trying to go to g4, why not go via f6? I don't really understand. But it's on h6. They're stepping in here. Hold on. Surely this is a problem. Surely this is a big problem. This obviously makes some sense. If I take with the knight, pawn takes, and actually I'm getting forked there, which is a problem. I don't really want to take with the bishop, although I could, because we'd forcibly damage the pawns again. We get 2 sets of double pawns in the center. So bishop takes, if bishop takes, knight takes, pawn takes, knight e2. I'm probably better there. But I'm thinking, this is held. This is held. You don't make a threat by putting this knight here. It's just a positionally good move. Do I not have f5? And I say, hello? Although maybe there's this in the end, but then I'd guess. So I'm thinking if f5 and then you go pawn takes and I go takes and you take, and then go knight here, I get king d2, you go knight here, I get to take, and I should, I believe, be up material there. But if f5, what else can you do? You take here first? I want to play f5 with tempo on this to then say I'm going to take on g6 and continue to tear this stuff up. I think I can do so. If you step back like this, I take here. Thanks very much. Or maybe even take here, sorry. That's an option as well. This is a big threat on this knight. And you can't move this knight anywhere with a threat at all. If you take here, I take like this. If here and this, yeah. I think it's f5. I think we say, look, you put a loose, not quite loose, but you put a knight in this hole here on h6. I've got a battery here. This is a tactical idea. Of course, we're going to recapture and not lose my queen. This just opens the g file. Now your knight is hanging. You could sack the knight, which honestly might be your best decision. That might be the best possible thing you can do right now. Sacrifice the knight, take 2 pawns for the knight, redeem the pawn structure, and then try and survive. But, it's not boding well. I'm going to be able to castle. I'm going to be able to bring my rook to the g file probably, maybe h4, h5. We're still attacking here. And they try and hold on to the knight, and I do think that's a mistake. I think it would have been much more convincing to try and sack the knight, because right now, my pawn structure is still gorgeous. Your knight is now in the way of your rook. I bet the engine wants the knight sack. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But I can take here, and that is a free pawn, admittedly one that I'm probably not going to hold on to. Although there's no reason I couldn't, actually. It also makes this a whole... There's a compelling case to take here, but also, one of the main reasons, if we tab back right to here, that I was saying that this kind of weakened the king side is because you don't defend g6 with the f-pawn anymore. And so if we take it back to this moment here, if we take, g6 isn't defended by a single pawn. And if I just castle and go rook g1, or even just go rook g1 straight away, queen g2, how are you defending this? Knight here, you go like this, you might play knight h8. I've never seen a more depressing looking move, but it's possible, I guess. If here, you go like this maybe, I could probably go f4. Knight c6, you fight your way back into here. I think we're taking on g6. I think they should have sacked, honestly, because now what I have is some initiative. I also have a very, very clean looking position. And I think I honestly just want to start by castling and say, listen, this is coming, this is coming, this is coming maybe. This is coming? Hold on, why have you done that? And then we can just slide whatever the hell we want over here. I can just play f4 here. You can't go here, nor here, nor here. If f4 and you go into here, I can just go queen g2. I guess maybe you bounce in here, but I just don't care. It's f4 time. It's definitely f4 time. And okay, you're going to go for that rerouting, sure, to maybe make it back into d4. I think my opponent might have sort of, I don't know, seen like a tutorial on this opening, on the way to play this particular setup, and just been told that the d4 square is very important, and is now kind of, I don't know, mindlessly abiding by that law, just playing to try and control this d4 square, which there's truth to that, but at the same time, you got to care a little bit about the king side as well, you know? You cannot simply allow me to do things like this and say bonsoir to your g-pawn. I imagine we're going to see queen to e1, which I mean e8, excuse me here. And then the question is, do I want to go for queen g2, or actually is h4, h5 more convincing? Or maybe even just a rook stack. Ooh, okay. I don't like queen g2 because then I'm just threatening to, trade queens and win a pawn. That's not what I want to do here. Stacking the rooks is pretty cool. Maybe rook g3 in here to give me this opportunity for Alekhine's gun. But at the same time, bang, bang, open this. That's a hook. I think we should probably do that. Maybe I start with knight e2, so if you do this, I can take... I don't know. I'm starting with h4. Maybe the rook stack, maybe sliding across with the queen. I don't know. But I'm arriving here, and I think that's looking pretty damn scary. You have this move, so h5, you can fork me here, but then I go takes, lose my queen, and have no compensation. Ah, interesting. Maybe now I just go queen g2, because, like, why the hell not? You know? I mean, the G file's a problem. And when I do this, yeah, the only way I now lose this is, of course, on time. Maybe this knight makes some sense. I don't know. But imagine if they had... Right, this is just nonsensical, surely. I can take... You have to take with your queen, and I can take here. No, I can't. Maybe I can. Hold on, let's calculate. I don't have much time. Takes here. Queen takes here. Queen b2. Ooh, hold on. This gets a little interesting. King d2, check. King d1, check. King e2, no further checks. I think I'm doing this. I'm doing this. The thing is, after queen takes, I could just play like b3, but that does seem kind of softening. And taking the opportunity rather to take this is also obviously a decent idea. Actually, maybe just playing c3 and letting this be defended, or just building up, then playing h5. Here, king d2, check. King d1, check. King e2, no further checks. I like this. I like this. We're opening the G file. It's not just winning a pawn here, it's opening the G file. It's going like this. It's allowing this check. It's saying that after king d1, this is your only check. And I think at least, maybe I've messed this up somehow. And then king e2 will be an attack on the queen. And you don't have that. You know, if I immediately go king e2 here, you can take on c2. There's an art of running away, you know. There's an art of the, you know, the art of fleeing. Run away from me, baby. Run away, as Kanye West said. This black queen is Kanye West. Okay, hold on. Queen f6. H5 is probably okay. Oh, I don't actually like this. I don't like this. I don't want to trade queens. Oh, man, I need to really... H5. Oh, Jesus. I need to move. I just 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 need to move. Why can't I move? I'm so paralyzed right now. Queen g2. I want to keep the queen on the board. I want to keep this, keep all that pressure. Right. If I make a move every 2 seconds, I've got 16 moves left to win this game. So I need to just now play on pure instinct. My opponent flags me after I gift wrapped them after I gave them back that move. That's going to be kind of disgraceful etiquette, but fair enough. Okay, they go here. I go queen h3, I guess. I don't even know. I'm just trying to get queen h5 check in. Flipping hell. Okay, I think I'm fine. I mean, the real etiquette here would be give me like at least 15 seconds. I gave you your queen back, but you know, fair enough. Oh, maybe I could have gone for it. Nah, they'd have had rook g6, right? But then maybe I could have taken... There might have been an interesting intermezzo queen h5 there, but I think I'm getting queen h5 next, and I think you shouldn't be able to run then. Here, and you can't run, and you go in there, and I go like this, and we've got rook g8. Rook g8 is inbound. Where are you going? You're going like this maybe, but then I can promote? No. If here, I sack, but then king takes. Jesus, man. Bishop g7. I might just have to play like f5 and pray. f5, bishop h6, promote. That could be kind of interesting, actually. Okay, interesting. Check. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. Go on, block with your bishop, you know you want to. In fact, it's f5 regardless, because now I'm going here. You've got no moves. You can't push your repawn because of that stupid move you played here. Now I'm going to go like this. I should have taken here. What an absolute imbecile I am. Now I can take here anyway, because everything's on a light square. We've got the mate threat. You can't move with the king. I might be a genius. I might be a genius indeed. Literally everything, besides my a-pawn, which, I mean, you can go after that a-pawn if you really want. I think there are more pressing matters here on f7. Any move you make with the rook, it's mate. You can't make a king move. That is resignation. Good game. Hold that on your forehead. Disgraceful etiquette trying to flag me there. Hold on, it wasn't a free queen. I'm getting confused with another video that I think I posted recently. They misclicked f6, I remember now. They misclicked f6 back, hold on, I was saying like free queen I think that whole time. They misclicked f6 at the moment where I took here. So it would have free bishop. It was the game, basically. It was a free win. But then out of the kindness of my heart, and also not really because I want this to be an exciting video, so not really out of the kindness of my heart at all, but, you know, we gave this one back. And then, listen, let's just analyze that game. Just before we get into the analysis, I'd like to take a brief moment to thank the sponsor of this video, chessreps.com. Chessreps is a chess opening course website with many, many fantastically digestible, well-made chess opening courses. You can see here the King's Gambit. Let's learn the King's Gambit. On move 2, we'll shoot ourselves in the foot by giving away one and weakening our king. They're, well, you know, they're fun to read through. And as I want to flesh out some of my King's Gambit repertoire, perhaps, not that I play the King's Gambit loads, but it's always nice to have a cool thing to resort to in maybe some blitz games once your normal repertoire is getting boring. And it's going to walk me through this first line here. 1 to h4, and apparently this is a blunder. I'm not wildly... Oh yeah, knight to g5, right? Queen h5 check, queen takes g5 check, and then queen to h5 check again, and then we go queen to e5 check. Now we've removed, and by that I mean, sorry, removed the g pawn out of the way, and then we can go check here. Golly, I really need to play the King's Gambit. Anyway, if that sounds remotely interesting, check it out, links in the description. If not, let's get back to the analysis of that game. Oh dear. So everything wonderful apart from h6, which was an absolute blunder here, because they could just have taken this pawn. And what am I doing? I mean, admittedly, the entire game, like, I had 30 seconds left at this point, panicked and played h6 because I was getting way too low on time. I think for some reason I stalled for ages. Yeah, it took me 30 seconds to play queen g2, which is appalling. Queen h5 apparently better, but queen g2, the second best move, still decent and keeps the pressure on. 30 seconds on that is absolute garbage. Just play it and move on. You got to keep the queen on the board for all this pressure. I don't know why I took 30 seconds to do that, and then I panicked with some bad decisions, but somehow then, king e2, played like a genius here. Queen h5 here, h7 best move. If they had gone for bishop here, I was thinking f5 was what I was going to play. It likes e5, flipping out e5, I guess, because if you take, then I take, and I'm opening this up with tempo on this. I guess I can promote here and... What? Rook f1 check as well? Oh, right, okay, rook f1 check's interesting. But I was going to play if bishop g7, sorry, we're doing a little anachronistic analysis here. But, yeah, I was going to do this and then try desperately to get into h6 with the idea that we go like this, take, and promote. Yeah, I mean, I was cooking. I was absolutely cooking. Messed up terribly with that one move, but apart from that, built an advantage, kind of kept it. It briefly escaped me when I had 30 seconds left. We got it straight back and carried on cooking, and then that mate in the end, I mean, the composure that I didn't really have because I was panicking the whole time. Pretty good stuff. Let's open up the analysis board. We've got the Lichess database going on here. We see that a3 here is played, I believe. How often is a3 played? Where is it? Not even in the database. I mean, of course it's in the database, but I think it's less than 0.5% of the time, so it doesn't come up. Yeah, because it's only 4 million games rather than the 4.5 million it needs to round up to 1%, basically. Although, no, it must be... there's some, whatever, boundary where it doesn't actually show up in the database because it's just not played enough out of the 723 million games that are played in the Sicilian. Golly. But we go for our a3 Sicilian, and then after d6, we can still go for b4. We can still go for b4, and there's some interesting wing gambit ideas, but I tend to find that people don't really accept this. Although I'm completely talking nonsense, I guess. The wing gambit ideas at least aren't as kind of exciting. I imagine d4, right? No, apparently a b4. Yeah, I mean, just doesn't look anywhere near as convincing because we're not going for that gambit, basically, where if they play e6, let's say, we get to gambit this pawn and then play c3, bishop moves back, then d4. Like, we get a bit of initiative, we get to claim the center there. Maybe I'll look into that, but I do also like this bishop c4, which does relatively well for white. It's a decent move indeed. And then, yeah, look, g6. I go for my d3. No, I don't. I play knight to c3, fine. Then I go for my d3. And at this moment, yeah, okay. It's apparently reasonable. It's barely ever happened, so we're just going to get rid of the database there, because that is going to be absolutely useless right now. Takes, you just have worse pawn structure. f4, logical. Apparently, I mean, this position is not nearly as bad as I expected it to be. I feel as though... Maybe someone that's better than me at chess can correct me in the comments, but I feel as though the objective analysis here doesn't really reflect the practical difficulties with which you've got to then deal. I don't know, this just sucks. And if you castle, I guess queen d7, and if I'd castled, was the right idea to, like, how should they have played their position? Let's say I do something like this. Knight h5, what the hell? Okay, fine. I mean, I'm sure there are ways to play it. An engine is obviously going to beat me here, but they go like this, h3, restricting the movement of this knight via f5 and g4. It's not coming in anywhere. They, of course, castle. I bring the bishop to e3. I like the idea of setting up the battery and potential discovery here. Again, all of this, if we're looking at the graph, very, very reasonable. This moment with bishop e3, okay, I could have castled to have a 0.5 advantage. but I took a 0-0, like whatever. No one cares. This is not, I'm not analyzing that. That's a decent move, a decent practical idea. And then they go in with the knight. And apparently after f5, takes. They should have played knight f7. Okay, well, I guess I just suck. I think I said that I expected the engine would want the sack. Although, what am I talking about? Because the engine's, of course, going to be able to play knight f7 and then defend perfectly. I feel as though, practically, I'd have honestly been not very happy to see this sack, because the pawn structure gets redeemed. You get the 2 pawns for the knight. I don't know, I still have an attack, though. Yeah, no, it would have been... I don't know what I was really thinking saying that. Knight to f7, however. fg6. How is this not losing? Because knight e5, tempo on this. Here. King takes here. We castle... And apparently you're fine here. This is why I absolutely despise Stockfish. I'm just going to refresh. Okay, I thought that would just get rid of the arrows, but it got rid of everything. Okay, we're back. This is why I absolutely despise Stockfish. I just wanted to clean up the screen there. What do you mean that this position has a plus 0.4? What are you talking about? I just don't... Like, this is how the engine would have defended that. Fine. Still, obviously it's logical for them to recapture here, not allowing me to take on h7. A human, I don't believe. I mean, maybe I just suck. Maybe I don't see that at all. Maybe you can bring the pieces in. Maybe a master finds that and just survives there. I even think, dare I claim, that at a master level, you know, people aren't going to be wildly excited by the prospect of walking into this position here with literally no pawns anywhere close to the king. Plenty of open files, battery here, rerouting it, like, yeah. This just looks like it sucks, and I'm sure it's very easy for black to go wrong there. But takes, castle's decent. Could have gone for an earlier queen g2, fine. And then at this point, yeah, look, their idea of trying to route the knight in here, I was just able to sort of bring this across, get this, all, you know, while you're bringing the knight in, and I'm able to just set up my attack. And it's like, yeah, okay, a knight here is great, but not if your king side is absolutely in shambles. And then of course, we taking on g6. I should have gone for e5. Interesting. Little intermezzo here. If you take like this, that's actually really nasty. Why didn't I think of that? A little intercepting idea. I really should have seen that, actually. e5 is a very obvious looking, but also very strong and sexy looking move. Took here, got a bit excited about my calculations, saying, listen, you're not going to have any checks in the end. Panicked here, threw away a pawn because I had 30 seconds, and then absolutely cooked him over here. Clutched up, gave the rook check, gave the queen check. Played f5 because I'm sneaking in with the bishop. Now I could have taken here, of course, and I assume, how do you even postpone mate? Oh, I guess king here, and then just bishop h6, and then sure, you're getting mated there, fine. But of course, I kind of panicked a little bit with the bishop here. This was still a good move, but then I noticed, of course, my path to victory here. Bang, whatever the hell you think you're going to play. Queen to f7 is going to be mate. Thank you guys immensely for watching. If you enjoyed this video, check out the link in the description to the Will Taylor Chess Patreon. There are bonus videos every single Sunday posted for the patrons to ravenously devour. There are, I believe, 38 exclusive Will Taylor Chess videos, the caliber of which is just absolutely inconceivable. You also get your name at the end of all my videos on the esteemed patron scroll as a small token of thanks, and discounts from stuff that I sell on the Patreon. The games on there, I'm sure the patrons can vouch, tend to be absolutely fascinating and interesting and aggressive, and it would massively support the channel. If you're not remotely interested, I nevertheless vastly appreciate your viewership. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Hasta la vista. Goodbye.